You didn't mean to drift apart, not emotionally, not in spirit, but somewhere along the way, the closeness you once felt started to dim, not because you stopped loving, not because desire vanished, but because your body slowed down before your heart was ready. It was little things, moments, turning off the light faster than you used to, avoiding the mirror, feeling your hands get colder, your skin thinner, your breath shorter. And the worst part, you still wanted connection, but your body didn't respond like it used to, and you began to wonder, is this just how it ends? You went to your doctor once, half joking, half hopeful, and asked, is there anything that still works? He didn't laugh. He looked right at you and said, blood flow controls everything. Circulation isn't just for your heart. It's the power behind intimacy, energy, and the will to keep reaching. That one sentence was enough to wake something up inside you. You went home, stood in your kitchen, opened the fridge, and realized you'd been feeding your hunger, but not your circulation. You'd eaten enough to stay alive, but not enough to feel alive. And so, you made a decision. You pulled out your notebook, wrote at the top, 4 vegetables that bring me back to myself, and started researching, not just for something green, but for something that brings heat, mood, motion, and life back into a body that still remembers what closeness feels like. The first answer was unexpected. Spinach. You always thought of it as bland, soft, a side dish. But now, you understood it for what it truly is. A circulation powerhouse. 1. Spinach. Feeds nitric oxide, boosts blood flow, supports intimacy and heart health. It's packed with nitrates that your body turns into nitric oxide, a compound that widens blood vessels, improves circulation, and increases oxygen flow to every part of your body. Yes, even there. You sautéed a handful, drizzled a little olive oil, cracked pepper, and ate it slowly, not as food, but as a message to your body. I still want to feel. You wrote it down in your notebook. Spinach, circulation, softness becomes strength. And as you pushed your plate aside, you didn't feel full. You felt present, not young, not reckless, but aware that something in you hadn't gone away. It had just gone quiet. Until now. If this story reminded you that closeness isn't over after 60, and that your body can still respond when given the right care, please consider subscribing, because here, we don't just talk about vegetables. We talk about restoring vitality in the places you thought were fading. Later in the video, you'll uncover the second vegetable, one that supports not only blood flow, but the nervous system that governs pleasure and peace. That night, you didn't feel younger, but you felt aware, like your skin remembered something, like your blood moved with a little more purpose, like your breath had weight again. It wasn't passion, it wasn't fantasy, it was readiness, and that alone was enough to change how you slept. The next morning, you opened your notebook. Spinach was already there, your new quiet ally. But now you were searching for something deeper, because circulation is one thing, but sensation, comfort, calmness in the body when it opens to closeness again, that takes more than blood. It takes your nerves remembering how to fire, how to feel safe, how to hold pleasure instead of just bracing for discomfort. And that brought you to the second vegetable, one you hadn't thought about since you were young. Sweet potatoes. 2. Sweet potatoes. Calm the nerves, support hormone balance, feed the skin. You'd always seen them at holidays, mashed, candied, covered in sugar. But you never saw them as medicine until now. They're loaded with potassium, vitamin A, and magnesium, a trio that nourishes the nervous system and helps restore the connection between your brain, your breath, and the places that have grown quiet over time. You peeled one, boiled it gently, mashed it with olive oil and sea salt. Nothing fancy. And as you ate, you didn't think of sweetness. You thought of softness, the kind your body once trusted, the kind that lives in gentle skin, in warm touch, in the ability to feel safe again inside your own body. You added it to the notebook. Spinach, circulation, sweet potato, for nerves and touch. Then wrote below it, my body isn't just a machine. It's a story that deserves to feel safe again. You paused, closed your eyes, ran your hand along your forearm, noticing the sensation. It was still there, just waiting to be fed. This wasn't about reversing age. It was about reminding your body that it's still allowed to receive care, to respond, to reach for warmth. And when you give it the right nutrients that soothe, not just stimulate, intimacy becomes possible again, not just with someone else, but with yourself. If this story helped you feel closer to the version of yourself you thought was gone, please consider subscribing. Because here, we don't just talk about vegetables. We talk about how to restore sensation, stillness, and softness in a body that still wants to belong to something beautiful. Later in the video, you'll uncover the third vegetable, one that sharpens your blood, clears your vessels, and gives you energy in places where fog used to live. You felt something different today. Not a surge, not a jolt of youth, but a steady warmth beneath your skin, like your body was waking up from the inside out. No alarms, no pressure, just readiness. And that was enough to make you reach for your notebook again. 2 vegetables were already there. Spinach for circulation, sweet potatoes for sensation. But you needed something else now. Not for softness, but for stamina. The kind that doesn't come from pushing harder, but from moving smarter. That's when you found it. A root that's been known for centuries, used by elders, healers, and doctors, not just for strength, but for resilience. Beets. You thought they were just earthy and red, something you slice into a salad and forget about. But now you saw them for what they really were. Fuel for the fire that burns slower, but steadier, after 60. 3. Beets. Improve blood flow, enhance endurance, increase oxygen to intimate areas. Beets are rich in nitrates, just like spinach, but with even more power to stimulate nitric oxide production. That means better blood pressure, more oxygen to the muscles, a boost in endurance without exhausting the heart, and a natural, gentle support to the physical parts of intimacy that often lose their strength with age. You roasted 2, let them cool, sliced them, and added a sprinkle of sea salt and balsamic. Simple, unapologetic, rooted. And as you ate them, you imagined your body responding not with force, but with flow. Because intimacy after 60 isn't about performance, it's about presence. And presence needs oxygen, needs clarity, needs blood that moves where it's supposed to go, not with pressure, but with peace. You return to your notebook. Spinach, circulation, sweet potatoes, sensation beets, endurance, and oxygen. Then wrote a single line beneath it. I don't want fast fire. I want slow, lasting warmth. And that was the moment you understood something no one talks about. Strength doesn't just live in your muscles. It lives in the rhythm of your blood. And if you treat your body like it still deserves that rhythm, intimacy returns. Maybe not like it used to, but in a way that feels even more honest. If this story helped you feel like there's still strength in your softness, please consider subscribing. Because here, we don't just talk about what goes on your plate. We talk about what brings your body back to life, one nourishing truth at a time. Later in the video, you'll uncover the 4th and final vegetable, one that clears the fog, sharpens your mood, and gently reminds your hormones that desire doesn't vanish with age. You'd come a long way without even realizing it. A week ago, your meals were just routine. Now, each plate feels like part of a quiet return to movement, to sensation, to presence. Spinach reminded your blood to flow. Sweet potatoes brought safety back to your skin. Beets reawakened your stamina. But there was still one part of you that hadn't caught up yet. Your mind. Because even when the body starts remembering, the mind can still whisper, "What if it's too late? What if I've missed my moment? What if no one wants this version of me anymore?" And that kind of thinking doesn't just stay in your head. It dulls your chemistry, clouds your hormones, shuts down the gentle confidence you need to connect again. So today, you looked for something to feed that part, not just the heart or the nerves, but the clarity behind desire. And you found it in something that doesn't look powerful, but is. Asparagus. 4. Asparagus. Clears mental fog, supports hormonal balance, boosts libido gently. It's more than fiber and vitamins. It's a natural source of folate, vitamin E, and glutathione, compounds that help regulate your mood, clear mental fog, and support the delicate hormonal pathways that affect intimacy, especially after 60. You steamed a few spears, drizzled lemon, a touch of oil, and ate it not for taste, but for clarity. Because when your mind feels clean, your thoughts calm, your body follows. You breathe easier, you feel more present, and you begin to believe, gently, I still deserve this. Not just food, not just care, but closeness, on my terms. You return to your notebook one last time. Spinach, circulation, sweet potatoes, sensation beets, endurance, asparagus, mental clarity and hormones. Then you wrote the final line. I am not too late. I'm just now learning to feed myself for the kind of intimacy that lasts. You closed the journal, sat quietly, let the moment settle into your breath, and for the first time in a long time, you felt everything working together, not perfectly, but honestly. If this story helped you reconnect with the body you thought had gone quiet, please consider subscribing, because here, we don't just talk about health, we talk about returning to yourself with food, with care, and with the quiet strength that still wants to be held. You didn't rush this. You didn't chase youth. You didn't search for shortcuts. You just listened to your blood, to your nerves, to your breath, to the quiet ache in your body that wasn't asking for intensity, just intimacy. And you answered, not with pills, not with pressure, but with presence. With 4 simple vegetables that reminded you of something far greater than nutrients. This body still belongs to me. Spinach gave you flow. Sweet potatoes gave you softness. Beets gave you stamina. Asparagus gave you clarity. And together, they didn't just wake up your circulation. They reminded you that intimacy, real, gentle, lasting intimacy, doesn't start with someone else. It starts when you decide that your body is still worth feeding like it matters. Because it does. You close the notebook. You feel your pulse, steady. You run your hand along your chest, warm. And you say softly, maybe for the first time in years, I'm still here, and I still deserve to feel alive inside this body. If this story helped you reconnect with yourself, with your worth, with your quiet strength, please consider subscribing, because here, we don't just talk about food, we talk about how to live in your skin again and love what's still possible.